Hi, welcome to my journey. Well, I almost didn't get out today, but I was outside in the backyard, raking up some leaves, and somehow or another, this is how funny life is, right? The bulk trash came by sometime between yesterday and today. Yeah, the bulk trash came by sometime yesterday or today because I was gonna add, some leaves that I raked up. And when I put the bags out into the front yard, I noticed that the bag of leaves that have been sitting there for almost two weeks, you know, is now gone. And I'm like, okay, hold on. So all day it's been warm, nice, right? Temperature gauge says it's 71 degrees. However, you know, a wind is setting in, and the wind that we're getting is cold, right? The wind that's coming in is cold, right? The sun is just setting, right? You can see the sunset over there, right? And the wind that's coming in is cold, and the wind that's coming in that's cold is strong, right? I've seen some things, blown over, and most of all of the leaves off of the tree is gone. All right. So even though I raked up the backyard, what I was looking at is somebody took out another light pole. Whoever, the people be driving down this road, speeding and racing and stuff. They took out a whole gigantic light pole. And my mind is, I think I might have heard that when that happened, because I was like, what was that? And oh no, I was expecting to hear a whole bunch of ambulance or whatever, but I didn't hear it right away. I think I must have fell asleep, something like that. But anyway, they took out a whole lamp post there, and yeah, that's a battle I would hate to have on my plate as a challenge. That will not be on my bucket list, to see who wins, the light post or me in my vehicle. So anyway, I realized that, there's just no way I am going to eat that whole big old pot of beans that I had made. I love the electric pressure cooker, because it allows me to cook a pot of beans from frozen and dried beans, from frozen meat and dried beans, and have a meal in an hour. Okay? And that's a beautiful thing for me. It's the best thing since the microwave. And I stopped eating my shit on the, using the microwave. I will not eat, microwave food, period, unless, that's the only thing that I can eat is microwave. But normally, I warm my food up by the stove or the oven, and that's that. That is the way it is. Okay? So, speaking of, right, like I told you, the Instapot that I got, it works. It just needs a pot designed for the Instapot. The Comfy Pot, it looked like it kind of worked, although I don't know. I would feel much better knowing that, it had the actual pot. Now see this here what we got in the sky, these are fake clouds. These are manufactured clouds. This is what manufactured clouds look like. Okay? That's where we're getting the cold wind from these manufactured clouds. It looks beautiful, you know, now that the sun is setting, but believe me, these are not real clouds. These are manufactured clouds. These are not clouds created by nature. These are clouds that have been made by man. All right? And I know a lot of people still don't believe that, you know, mankind has the ability to alter the weather. That's okay. You don't have to believe it. You don't. You can stay in denial for as long as you want. We can crown you the king or queen of denial. We can crown you. All right? For as long as you want to stay there. But they can't. Yeah, that dog kind of looked like my dog. So yeah, I was out in the backyard. It was warm. I was getting vitamin D from the sun. You know, my dogs, they was happy to spend time with me. And they were happy to get a clean yard too. So now they got a fairly clean yard. A lot cleaner because I had like 2 big construction bags full of mainly leaves. A little bit of garbage. Now, last night, I wanted to see if there was an audiobook available on this book that I bought for $1. Come to find out, they made a movie of it. So that's what I was watching yesterday. The movie about this Jamaican family and this Vietnamese family where the son of the Vietnamese family who was in America, you know, and had no reason to leave. Obviously, you know, they showed, I guess you could say, you know, they did good, you know, on their visa, whatever visa they came in on. They didn't talk about visa during this movie, right? Except that she wanted a visa to stay in America. They have been in America for 9 years. Well, she had been in America for 9 years. I didn't hear how long he had been in America, but, you know, his Korean family obviously had been there long enough and had established a beauty supply shop, basically for black people, right? And it was kind of interesting because even though, you know, they make their whole livelihood, you know, being in a, let's just say, non-white, and here's the thing, a lot of people want to say, well, why do you want to say that black people are the only ones that use beauty products? They're not the only ones that want to use beauty products. They're the only ones that are kind of forced to use beauty products because people in society don't like their natural hair. Now, if they want to wear their natural hair, society will accept their natural hair if it's really, really short, or if, their curls are loosened and defined. And then it won't be natural. It will not be natural, right? Because natural would look like a dandelion. And last time we seen dandelion hairs was back in the 60s. Right? That's the last time. The neighborhood I live in, you don't see no dandelion hair. None. Now, out south, I don't know. They might still wear dandelion hair. They could. I don't know. But a lot of them, they're told to either keep it short, braid it up, lock it up. Do what you have to do, to make your hair look like it's manageable, that white people can see the shape of your head, around your head, and something like that. I really don't know what the reasoning is, right? And as a result, they make it seem like, straight hair is a standard of beauty, and curly hair is not, and nappy hair is just plain ugly. But anyway, right? These couples that wanted, this guy, he was thinking about these certain words, right? He wanted to be a poet, right? His parents wanted him to be a doctor, right? He was smart enough to be a doctor, and he was talented enough to be a poet. But in his mind, he could not do both. But his parents was like, look, you're gonna have to really make do on, taking advantage of us coming to America to provide you guys a better life than what we could have gave you in Vietnam. Now, I suspect, they was probably from North Vietnam. That's pretty much what I suspect. However, I've only been getting a little bits of information here and there about North Vietnam, because I was told that, they don't like information to get out about that country. Okay. So, and I have heard that, there are countries out there that, if you do reporting in that country that they don't want you to do, that they can put you in jail. Right? They don't have freedom of speech. Matter of fact, I even heard that in the UK, if what you say is damaging to another person, you can go to jail. Okay? So I was like, okay, whew, that air is cold. I'm telling you, we dropped from 71 degrees down to 57 with this cold air. But that's not a problem, because when the sun come back up tomorrow, it's gonna be warm again, because we got the sun pouring out love to us. The sun is pouring out love to us. Like, baby, not this year. They wanted you to freeze like they did what they did back in 2021, right? And they've already upgraded, our grid, so we're not going to be without power. However, just the mere fact that it'll be icy and cold and all of that shit, right? No. The sun said no. That's not what we gonna be doing. Period. So, yeah, it dropped down to 57. The wind is blowing, right? So it kind of looks like an Arctic wind, but it's really not. It's just that, when you know the current, when you know the flow of the current, you can seed the clouds anywhere on the current to have it hit somewhere else, right? That's how, America had made a lot of money with, the Arabs and some of the Europeans, but especially Dubai, right? Because they told them that, they could teach them or give them or will do for them, making and seeding clouds so that they could get the type of agriculture that they need in order to, change the whole dynamic of their land. But a lot of them are, that instead of, it really changing the dynamic of their land, what they're getting instead is a lot of flooding. Because their land is not, it's not conditioned, to be wet, because those lands had become barren because of their, spiritual relationship with, earth and how they live their life, right? Anytime you see a barren land, best believe that's a country that has gone through karma, okay? They are suffering karma, and in the worst way. And if they say no, that's not it, I suggest that these are people that, are not able to hear the voice of God. Therefore, they don't know why, their land is barren. So they would just be in denial. We're going to crown them the king and queen of denial. All right? So, yeah. So, all around us, we have people that are suffering, severe weather. Now, there are people who are spiritually powerful, right? And can change the weather by asking source. True enough. Let's keep it real. There is the sciences, and there is the spirituality, and there is the natural way, okay? There is the natural way, okay? That's how it is. know she's tripping. She was like, damn, I came out here to run my half a marathon, and hair just blowing every which way across her face and eyes, and she's out here in a tank top and shorts. Yeah. But you know, now that this wind and this cold wind is gonna like blow all of the leaves off of my tree in the front yard, I'll be able to rake up those leaves and just have, you know, like 5 or 6 bags for, you know, the bulk trash. Yeah. So that's what America had did when they went, you know, to Du Bois and told them, you know, that, you know, they could, you know, build this corridor, you know, and in this corridor, you guys, you know, that they would have, you know, all of this agriculture and a river and yeah. You know, and it really sounded beautiful to them because, you know, they're used to desert. Now, that's not to say that they won't have a desert storm that will just cover everything up in desert, right? Like, we see examples of that sometimes, you know, in Las Vegas, right? Where Las Vegas can have this whole dust storm and everything is dusty and nobody wants no parts of the dust, right? You don't want dust in your lungs and dust in your eyeballs, dust in your nose, you know, in your sinuses, just dust everywhere. And that's the one thing I can say about Texas. Texas is dusty. It really is. Texas is really, really dusty. You know, and it makes me think about, well, why is Texas dusty? And that's because they got a lot of dusty ass, racist ass, dumb ass people here. For real, for real. And a lot of them have hidden behind, you know, their religious beliefs. That's why they had the Bible Belt down here. They got the Bible Belt down here. Just so that they could have them a barrage to hide behind. So, I put the rest of the beans that I had put some of those beans and stuff, that bean mixture, I put it into some tortillas and some enchilada sauce and cheese and stuff. And last night I had cheese enchiladas. They were so good and filling that somehow or another after I ate, I fell into a coma. I believe it was probably a carb coma. Woke up, you know, like, wow, let me have another enchilada. Because an enchilada, man, it tastes really good with a fried egg on top. Ooh-wee. Mm-hmm. So, this guy is speeding. Said the speed limit is 30. I'm going 35 and this guy is like, must be going about 40. turn up this way today. Yeah, and he's turning right behind me. He doesn't even put on their blinkers or nothing. They don't use their blinkers. Like I said, you know, these motherfuckers out here, it's like the law of the land is just a suggestion. They don't have to follow the rules. But I don't know. I woke up today feeling kind of weird, you know, and I'm thinking, you know, that I'm gonna be probably, and stay in your lane, bitch. I'm thinking that maybe I'll be taking a serious spiritual guru journey in the upcoming years, right? And the idea of that, it's blowing my mind, because I'm like, really? You know, of course, you know, if I have to do it that way, I will. But, you know, I'm thinking, you know, there's a more effective and efficient way that I can become, you know, the spiritual guru that I was intended to be, without being, you know, a hobo out here in society. You know, because I'm the type of person, I can cut him off and still be around him. It's like they're not even there, right? So there's no reason for me to be out there being a hobo. So, of course, I put in my petition, you know, to be able to still have a home base, even if I have to, say, travel. If I have to travel, I am not going to be the one that will sit up here traveling in, you know, dragging behind my home in a trailer, right? And I'll be darned if I think that living in a fucking parking lot, an RV parking lot, is the life for me. That is not gonna be it. I would rather stay in, what is that? A mobile home community, right? Than sit up there and live in some RV parking lot. That is not for me. Okay? Even though I keep watching it, and I'm watching these ones, right? Because Lisa of Earth, right? You know, she's on her way. That's what she's dreaming of. Now, I thought about it, right? I thought about it. I even thought about, you know, buying some land in New Mexico, thinking that there was no restrictions and this, that, and the third. However, right, it's like as soon as one person comes, there's going to be other people that will show up. That's just how people are. Like, oh, you're living there? How did you do it? You know, and then they find out how to go ahead and live there too, right? And the next thing you know, you have all of these people that are living there, and now all of a sudden, here comes the rules. Because the more people that come in to live around you, that's where the rules start emerging. And they're either rules by ordinance, zoning, laws, and if not, it could be by, tradition, right? And if it's by tradition, best believe that they're enforcing that tradition through brute force. That's the way men do things. Men enforce tradition by brute force, right? And I hate that they will sit up there and talk about, suffering is spiritual growth. It's like, what the hell is wrong with them? What's wrong with them? No, suffering isn't from brute force. Discipline. It's discipline. They think suffering and discipline are the same. They're not the same. And the outcome is not the same. So yeah, they was talking about up north that they were having tornado warnings. Up there in the Midwest area. By the lakes up there. They're having tornadoes warnings. Yeah, this air is really cold. And the reason why I'm saying that I don't believe that it's natural is because there's just not enough snow-capped mountains for it really, for me to even say, to add it up, right? Oh yes, we have all of these snow-capped mountains, all of that cold air accumulation, up on the mountains and stuff, and then, you understand my train of thought? Right? Which, from what I had heard, a lot of the mountains are not snow-capped. That's what I heard. Damn. What's wrong with this light? Blew the light down. I mean, not down, off. Moved it around where you can't see it. Whew. So I almost didn't get out today. I mean, out and recording, but I did anyway. So that's one good thing that I'm glad that I did, is to get out and, at least for an hour, right? And I have my dinner cooking in the pressure cooker, right? I have some carnitas, pork carnitas, and a couple of pressure cooker. So I'm hoping that by the time I get back home, it will be an easy prep for me to eat it. Because I only cooked it for like 15 minutes in the pressure cooker. So we'll see. I'm trying to use the pressure cooker like the same way that I would use the slow cooker, right? And I love slow cooked food. Oh my God, easy to chew, savory with the juices, from food that has been slow cooked for hours, expedited. Because it's been pressure cooked. And I'm like, oh my God, don't tell me this. So we'll see. I mean, basically, I've only cooked like broth, bone broth, soup, beans. Now I'm trying to get into some other things. I'm trying to get into some other things. What happened here? The fire department? Yep, fire department. They firing up. So I do have to be a little bit more careful, moving around when I'm in pain, because when you're in pain, that's a lot of stress on your heart. So you got to be careful about that. Pain is not just something that you can deny. You have to acknowledge the pain. You have to work through the pain, and then you have to get rid of the pain. Telling how much damage it's doing to your heart, to that heart muscle. So today is Sunday, 28th of December. Listening to this one lady, the couple that had came to America by way of Canada. They had bought them an RV up in Canada and then came to America, right? And they were talking about the wind, right? Well, everybody who's RVing right now is talking about the wind and the wind. Now, I don't think that's something that they can manufacture. I don't think that they can manufacture the wind. I'm not sure, right? But I do know they kept talking about they have these certain centers, wind centers. So we don't know for sure, Once you know how they are, they like to pervert everything, so yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping that by the time I get back home, the meat will have cooked to tender perfection. need to do is add some barbecue sauce to it, because that's what I'm gonna do. Add some barbecue sauce to the meat, and the potatoes, they'll be just soft enough. I'm hoping that they didn't get so soft that they just melted into a soup. I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping didn't happen. So I tried to cut the pieces big enough to where I don't think it melted. Because I don't need it melting. Dang, that's a nice EQX 450 Mercedes. I guess that's an electrical Mercedes. EQX 450? I mean, I think everything that starts with an E means electrical, right? It looks pretty good though. Let's see. Look how nice that looks. That looks really nice. And I don't see no exhaust pipe, so it is electrical. You know how you see the muffler hanging from the backside? It's not. It's not. It's an electrical Mercedes. Mercedes Benz. Benzes. I wonder how far it can go on a charge. How fast does it charge up? Good questions. Maybe I'll look it up. But the beautiful part about it also, not only does it not have any emissions, but it's so quiet. It's so quiet. It would sneak by you if you wasn't watching. So now it's 55 degrees. And I'm almost home, so I did my hour. I did my hour out and about. Yeah, it's electrical. That's what I'm thinking. A lot of people like the idea of electrical. They just want the electrical car to be more efficient. Right? We want it to be more efficient. Whoever makes a battery that can generate a motor vehicle 500 miles, weighs only 10 pounds, and charges up within a half an hour, you know people are gonna love that. They're gonna love that. What the hell? Why didn't we have this before? Somebody got some brand new washers and dryers. New to them. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go wash clothes in a few days or weeks or something. Who knows? Dang, 54? Damn, the temperature dropped like 20 degrees in the time that I've been out here. That's amazing. I was thinking, shoot, I can still wear shorts. But nope, we're gonna put on our thermals. That's what we're gonna put on some thermals, and that's what we're gonna sleep